Hello and welcome to Module 3. Ken Herbert here, and today we're going to find the fire within by connecting with your most passionate interests. Passion is the fuel that inspires us from within. It gets us up out of bed in the morning, excited to greet the new day. It's what gives us energy and vitality, and it's a vital ingredient in discovering and living our purpose. Without that spark of passion in our lives, life can seem gray, boring, and far too routine. Without passion, we may find ourselves dreading what we feel we have to do. And when we're not doing that, we may just want to sleep or spend a lot of time in front of the TV or too much time on Facebook, vicariously living our lives through others. Anything to dull the senses, cover the pain of the sense of something missing in our lives, or to escape the monotony of our experience. I have been there myself. I know what this feels like, and it's no fun. A life without passion is what I'd suggest Thoreau was referring to when he said most people are living lives of quiet desperation. Yet, as we give ourselves permission to stoke the flames of our strongest, life-giving passions, we awaken to another dimension in our lives. The zest, zeal, and enthusiasm for life returns. New possibilities emerge which take on a life of their own, and we're also generally much more fun to be around. So today we're going to explore and identify our greatest passions, which will provide us with more vital clues as to what our unique purpose may be, so that we can more fully experience the joy that life can be on a regular basis. Before we do that, I want to draw an important distinction. It's something I hope will be helpful to you on your journey and a way to view your passions as they relate to your unique purpose. When I was in college many years ago, I, like many students, had a really tough time choosing a major. Why? Because I had so many interests and paths I could pursue. At the same time I was going to school, I also worked for a company called Stanley H. Kaplan, which was or is a standardized test preparation service. It helps students get better scores on their law school or business school, medical school pre-entrance exams. I got to know hundreds of these students through this experience, and because I felt so lost as to which major to choose, I always asked them, so what made you decide to want to go to law school or business school or whatever the case may have been? And their answers shocked me and disappointed me. Most said they were pursuing their chosen path because they thought it would make them the most money, or because their parents expected or were pressuring them to take that path. I thought to myself, wow, you mean you're going to go in debt thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands maybe, and you're going to spend the next 4 to 10 years studying stuff you have no real interest in. And then you're going to spend many years after that in a profession you don't really like, based solely on a belief that maybe you'll make more money or please your parents. Something didn't seem right about that to me. So I sought guidance from my university's career counselors. And unfortunately, they were of no more help to me than the students were. It seemed to me that all they were interested in was nailing me down to a single well-trodden, proven path to a secure income, whatever that means. Even when I expressed to them that none of the traditional paths seemed right for me, in the end, I got on with my life, I chose my major and got my degree. But was I happy? Did it launch me into a satisfying life path? That would be a definite no. But I never forgot about that experience at school, and I kept thinking that certainly my experience at college left me some clues as to what I'd really love to do and what my true purpose was. So a few years later, I had the idea to list out all the majors that I had the most interest in and passion for when I was at school. Philosophy, business, psychology, constitutional law, architecture, and education. And then, for each one, I briefly described why I was interested in it. What specifically about that field of study appealed to me? For example, philosophy, exploring the big questions of life and coming up with personally satisfying answers. Business, being my own boss, having freedom, the ability to write my own check. Psychology, understanding the mind and human nature, understanding why people do the things they do, what makes them tick, understanding human potential. Constitutional law, public speaking, being able to make a difference, being able to use my gift of language to influence and persuade others to uphold the human rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Architecture, being able to visualize an end product and then watch it materialize into something that I created. Being able to create practically useful things. Education, being able to facilitate learning and growth in others. After I created that list, I asked myself, how could I combine all these elements that appeal to me into a satisfying life path that I would love and that would contribute value to others and reward me for my efforts? Doing this exercise was a huge light bulb moment for me. I realized why I couldn't be happy following a traditional career path. It didn't exist. I had to create my own. While I didn't have all the details in place yet, I did see that what I really wanted to do was to build my own business and use my verbal and language skills to make a difference by inspiring and coaching others to realize their potential in real-world practical ways. So the point of what I just shared with you is that while no single one of those passionate areas of my interest was enough to clearly indicate a purpose or an inspiring life path for me, the combination of the elements that appealed to me about those interests revealed to me for the first time a purpose and life path I could see myself pursuing. The same may be true of you. So just because you may be passionate about photography, for example, doesn't necessarily mean that photography is your life purpose. Just because you may be fascinated by archaeology doesn't mean you're meant to dig holes in Egypt. Yet your greatest passionate interest may very well contain the clues to your purpose as you combine all the specific elements of what appeals to you the most about each one. Examining your passions from this perspective frees you from the limitation of thinking your purpose must be tied to a single passion. It may or may not. If you do happen to have one single undeniable dominant passion, then that may be clue enough for you. Everyone is different and unique. So hopefully this perspective helps. Now we'll get on to the assignment. In the downloadable PDF below, I've done my best to assemble a good-sized list of potential subjects you may have a passion for. If you absolutely already know what your passions are, then you may not need this list at all, and that's fine, of course. However, for most of us, it can be a useful exercise to at least skim through it, as some passions may be buried deep or long forgotten. Yet, with a little reminder, the memory of your passions can be brought back to the conscious surface. This is definitely not an exhaustive list. That would have required more pages than any of us would have had the time or inclination to review. So it's likely you have passions that are not listed here, and some of the items on the list will remind you of other passions. So here's the assignment. First, skim through the list quickly. Don't take a lot of time. You'll notice what appeals to you and not rather quickly. And just mark on the page any passionate interests that are listed. Keep in mind that most of the items on this list will not interest you, but likely there will be a few that stand out. After you're done marking the ones you're interested in, ask yourself if there are any others not on the list that you'd like to include in your passion list. Then review all the passions you marked and select the top 5 to 10 that you have the most interest and passion for. List those passions out, and for each one ask yourself, what about this subject appeals to me the most? Write those elements down. Then, finally, play with the combinations of the elements you just identified. See what you come up with. See if a particular unique combination of elements jump out at you and ignite a fire within you. If you have a light bulb moment like I did, then great. If not, that's great too. We have several more modules to go through that will give you opportunities for light bulb moments. And often, I've noticed it takes a bit of time for our minds to percolate our latest discoveries and input before we sense some kind of inner revelation being born. So be patient with yourself. If when you complete this exercise you feel you need more to identify your passionate interest, I've included some additional questions in the PDF that may help you ferret them out. Until next time, may you find joy in reconnecting with your passions and discovering what they reveal about your unique purpose.